I don't even know where to begin. I've been sitting here for hours, trying to make sense of what happened. The whole weekend still haunts me, and I just feel like I have to share it. So here goes. A few months ago, my friends and I decided to stay in an old, abandoned hotel that had supposedly been renovated. It had a creepy history, one of those places where something terrible had happened, but they said everything was fine now. I didn't think much of it at the time, just a few friends looking for a weekend getaway. But the moment we arrived, I knew something was off. The hotel looked old, but in a way that made it feel like it hadn't been touched in decades. It was like the place was holding its breath, waiting for us to walk in. When we entered, the lobby was silent, eerily so. The kind of silence that makes you feel like you're not supposed to be there. There was an old woman behind the front desk. She didn't say much, just handed us the keys and told us we'd be in room 13. I didn't think anything of it, but looking back now, that should have been the first sign. As we walked down the hall to our room, it felt like the walls were closing in. The floors creaked under our feet, and I swear the air felt heavier the farther we went. We reached the door, and the second I stepped inside, I felt this cold rush. It wasn't just temperature, it was like something was wrong with the air itself. But we shrugged it off, figuring it was just an old building. As we got settled in, we started looking around, exploring the room. It was decorated like it hadn't been touched in years. Everything was dusty, and there was a strange smell in the air. The mirror on the wall was massive, too big for a room like this. I remember staring at it for a while, and I couldn't help but feel like something was watching me from inside it. I turned around, trying to shake off the weird feeling, but I couldn't. It wasn't until my friend, Sarah, pointed it out that I realized something even stranger. In one of the photos on the wall, we saw people who looked exactly like us. I'm not talking about a passing resemblance. I mean they looked exactly like us, only older and in old-fashioned clothing. I tried to brush it off as a weird coincidence, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something we weren't understanding. We decided to explore the rest of the hotel, thinking it would help us get rid of that nagging sense that something wasn't right. The hallways were long and narrow, lined with old paintings and dusty furniture. It felt like we were walking through a museum of forgotten memories. As we moved deeper into the building, the strange feeling intensified. The place was dead silent, but every creak of the floorboards and every whisper of wind made it feel like we weren't alone. We found an old door leading to the basement. No one wanted to go down there, but curiosity got the best of us. The moment we stepped inside, it felt like we had entered another world. The air was thick with dust, and there was this strange metallic smell that made my stomach churn. We walked down the stairs, but the deeper we went, the colder it got. That's when the lights went out. No warning, just suddenly complete darkness. We fumbled for our phones, using the dim light to guide us. The basement was enormous, filled with old furniture covered in sheets and boxes stacked in corners. But it wasn't the stuff in the basement that freaked me out. It was the feeling of being watched. It was like something in the dark was waiting for us to make a mistake, to show weakness. I swear, I could feel eyes on me, but every time I turned around, there was nothing there. We started hearing noises, faint whispers that echoed in the dark. At first, I thought it was just the wind, but the more I listened, the more I realized that they weren't natural sounds. They sounded like voices. We tried to leave, but when we reached the stairs, the door at the top wouldn't open. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. At first, we thought it was just stuck, but no matter how hard we tried, it wouldn't budge. It was like the hotel didn't want us to leave. Panic set in. We tried every door, every window, but everything was locked. The hotel had trapped us. The air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to move on their own, like they were alive. The whispers grew louder, more frantic, until it felt like the walls were closing in. And then in the distance, I saw someone. But they didn't belong there. I tried to get a better look, but as soon as I turned the corner, the figure was gone. The whispers turned into frantic shouts, and it felt like the building itself was alive, breathing, waiting for us to make the next move. We stumbled through the hallways, desperate to escape, but it was like the hotel was shifting. The hallways were changing, like we were stuck in a maze. The more we tried to find a way out, the more lost we became. And that's when we found the photos again, the ones we had seen earlier. But this time there was something different. They weren't the same photos. These were new, and the people in them, well, they were us. The same clothes, the same faces, but older. And they were smiling. I don't think I'll ever forget that moment. It felt like we were part of the hotel's twisted history, like we had become part of the story it was trying to tell. By the time we found the front door, The woman who had checked us in was standing there, staring at us. She didn't say a word, just watched us as we tried to run past her. But the door wouldn't open. It wasn't locked, it just wouldn't move. We turned to her, begging her to help us, but she only smiled. It was the kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes. And then, without a word, she disappeared into the shadows. We didn't know how, but we managed to escape, running out the front door and into the night. As we looked back, the hotel was completely silent again, like it was waiting for its next guests. We never spoke about what happened after that. We couldn't explain it. I still don't know how we got out, or why we were trapped there in the first place. All I know is that there's something in that hotel. Something that doesn't want to let go.